In Ghana and many other countries around the world, churches are exempt from paying taxes on offerings given during their services. Why is it so, and where did it come from? To understand this, we need to do a bit of digging into Christian history. Now, the followers of Jesus who lived in the first 300 years immediately after Jesus' ascension were very much involved in contributing money to care for the needs of poor church members and even non-Christian neighbors. Some of them even fasted in order to be able to provide for their poorer brethren. And this was in spite of the fact that most of these churches met in homes and didn't have the luxury of church buildings to meet in. As Christianity was illegal, these Christians were also very heavily persecuted, in some cases killed for their commitment to the way of Jesus. But this didn't stop them from giving for the needs of the poor amongst them. So when the Roman Emperor Constantine I converted to Christianity in AD 312, he was very impressed with the work that the church did to take care of the needs of the poor. In fact, the church was doing way better with its meager resources than the government was able to do with all the money at its disposal. He therefore decided to grant tax exemptions to all church leaders and church property. He further sponsored the building of the first lofty basilicas and elevated church leadership to a status equivalent to modern-day ministers of state. The emperors that came after him continued this tradition. The churches, having access to so much land and property, became the means by which peasant farmers even paid their taxes to the government. This tax was called a tithe, a word that the Christians before Emperor Constantine never used to refer to their giving. As one historian puts it, church buildings took the place of temples. Church endowments replaced temple land and funds. So when the church was separated from the state in the European revolutions, churches retained the collection of these monies, but they now cited passages in the Bible about tithing to support it, a practice that persists to this day. This privilege of not paying taxes was later extended to all charitable activities across Western Europe, and Ghana inherited it from our colonial masters. So the key point to take away from this history lesson is that tax exemptions were granted with the assumption that money collected and property owned by a church will be used primarily for meeting the needs of church members and beyond. And so when that's not the primary usage of monies collected in our churches, we lose the moral right and even risk losing the legal right for these exemptions to continue. Which brings us to the question, so if the modern tithe originally began as a tax collected by the church for the government, then can we Christians still justify paying tithe to our churches? And what should these monies be used for if we still do pay them? Well, that's a question for another day. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.